Welcome to the Saints Crown Show. This is a show for men who want to grow. In a world where confusion is the culture and passivity is the practice, we exist to take men from gaining massive clarity to taking massive action, because we believe that if we can help bring order to your life, you can bring order to your world.
How can you tell when someone is intimidated by you? Can I share a personal story about this?
Please do.
I would say I've been on this journey over the last couple of years, really since being in the men's group that you started, of really becoming like building my own self-confidence. And so I dealt with a lot of insecurity, still have to fight through that in a lot of different areas. But there was one individual who I just like dealt with intimidation with, like personally. And it got to the point where I would avoid this person. When this person would speak, when I was around them, I would like cringe and be like, oh, here goes this person again. Like, it was just not this healthy environment and thought process. And so in a moment, I felt like the Lord was highlighting the fact that I needed to go and deal with that. And so I spent some time with the Lord asking for his heart and his mind towards this individual. And then I just went to the person and I just like got it in front of me. I was like, hey, just so you know, we're not even close, but I've been dealing with it, like being intimidated by you. And so I'm putting it out in front of me and I'm telling you and I'm bringing you into this because actually you're an incredible person and I actually want to be friends with you. And I think this is the enemy's plan of me being intimidated by you, which has caused all of these negative feelings and emotions to get in the way of us building a strong friendship. And just by me being authentic and having that conversation with that person, it shifted the entire trajectory of the relationship. And now we're really great friends. And it's hilarious because before, we weren't even friends before, but I was dealing with this intimidation. And if I wouldn't have leaned in with him on that, we wouldn't have been friends.
So there's this individual in your life who produces these emotions and feelings in you of intimidation, which you're vulnerable and comfortable enough to actually call it what it is. So a lot of men deal with intimidation. They just don't want to call it that.
Yes.
And so what you did is rather than moving from the attention, you moved toward
Just
the tension.
Leaned into it 100%.
And after you moved, so you voluntarily walked toward the thing that intimidated you, which I think is a pattern for life. Is if there's something that intimidates you in life, that may be a thing in life that you need to voluntarily walk toward.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to, I see it as like large giants that have territory in your life. And you come up against one of them and you feel intimidation. And what do? You back down into your little territory.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is you can live in your territory, your small territory, and your small mental frame, or you can expand territory. And what you did is you voluntarily walked toward that giant.
Yeah. You have to be willing to walk and face fear in the eyes.
Yes.
And say, you're not welcome here.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So you cut down this giant of intimidation, and then it didn't make your life smaller, but it expanded it.
Yeah.
So you gained a whole new territory of relationship that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yes. So I would say like my advice, if you're dealing with someone who is intimidated by you, is you first have to evaluate yourself and say, are there people in my life that I'm intimidated by? Why? It's all going to be rooted in fear. And until you get to a point where you are willing to confront and face fear head on in every area of your life, you'll probably continually deal with people who are intimidated by you. Because once you've dealt with intimidation and you've faced it face to face and you've dealt with the fear behind it, then now it becomes easier to lean in with people who may be intimidated by you, and you can just call it out. Be like, hey, I've noticed, like, I feel like you might be intimidated. There might be this situation, like, you kind of shrink back, you kind of do these different things when I'm around you. Like, is there something going on? Is there anything I can do? Like, and you just confront it. I feel like confrontation is something that's missing in like every aspect of society. And if we would just be more confident in just confronting things in a loving and kind way, then it deals with the root of it from the beginning and you can move forward.
Like, what are you're right. What are your options?
Yeah.
You're talking about assertively dealing with it, but what are your options? You either live with intimidation or you face it head on and sort it out and see what happens.
And some people will even then continue to avoid it. So not everyone themselves is willing to face their own giants. And so like you have to be aware of that going into the conversation. Like I'm thinking about someone too, just
Are you referencing the person that you're talking to?
yeah, like the person that is intimidated by you. They may not be in a state where they're willing to confront giants in their life. And so they're intimidated. And so it's not your job and responsibility to cut down their giant. That's something they have to be willing to do. And so until they're willing to do that, it might be a little bit awkward. But there's just going to be some people that are not willing to do that.
And I think that you'll have the temptation then to either maybe shrink down and make yourself small so that they don't feel inferior, which ends up limiting your own life.
Which is really you giving into their intimidation, which then creates an intimidation in you. Because if you're around an intimidating person and you're not willing to be 100% who you are and you're compromising on your standards because they're intimidated, that's a bigger problem.
You go back into becoming a puppet.
Yeah.
And that person's controlling you.
Yeah. So it's really like, if you really think about it, it's a form of manipulation and control in some situations. Sometimes if you just confront it and you deal with the awkward tension and then you're both better for it, like in my situation, awesome. But some people are not willing to do that. And that's where I would say that situation may be rooted in something different. It may not just be intimidation. It could be that that person is dealing with a whole nother level of manipulation and control.
Beautifully put. Wonderful. And that provides some massive clarity. Thank you for investing in yourself with us. And if you feel like, hey, I found my tribe, right now go ahead and subscribe to the show. Or you can just find us on social media at Instagram at saints.crown. I hope to see you soon.